For 8 years, Diane believed she had a good marriage, a husband who worked hard, a home they built together, a life that looked from the outside exactly like it was supposed to. What she didn't know was that her husband Marcus had another phone, another woman, another child, another life, and he had been funding that life with her money for 6 years. Diane and Marcus met in their late 20s. He was charming, ambitious, the kind of man who remembered small details, the way you take your coffee, the name of your childhood dog. She fell for that version of him completely. They married after 3 years together, bought a house. Diane worked full-time as a finance manager at a logistics company. Marcus ran what he called a consulting business, flexible hours, irregular income, always a reason why the money wasn't coming in quite yet. Diane covered most of the household expenses. She didn't mind, she loved him, and he always had an explanation. What she didn't know was that Marcus also had a woman named Priya, and Priya had a son, Marcus's son, who was now 5 years old. It started with a vibration. Marcus had left his jacket on the kitchen chair one evening when he went to shower. Diane wasn't snooping, she was hanging it up when she felt the weight of something in the inner pocket. A phone, a second phone, black, no case, no screen protector. She put it back. She said nothing, but she didn't sleep that night. Over the following weeks, she started paying attention in a way she never had before, and the picture that emerged was worse than anything she had imagined. Marcus had been taking Priya and their son on holidays, real holidays, flights, resort hotels. Priya's social media, which Diane found after a single search, was full of beach photos, shopping trips, dinner reservations at restaurants Diane had suggested to Marcus and he had called too expensive. He had funded Priya's apartment, paid her car insurance, given her a monthly allowance that Diane later calculated amounted to nearly £40,000 over 5 years, money that came from their joint account, reclassified in his records as business development expenses. But it didn't stop there. Priya had a younger brother, 22 years old, smart kid, according to Marcus, needed an opportunity. So Marcus, using Diane's savings, money she had set aside for their future, had sponsored Priya's brother's student visa and university fees in the UK, £45,000. He told Diane it was an investment deal that had gone through. Diane sat with all of this for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of cooking dinner and kissing him goodbye in the morning and asking how his day was. And she used every one of those 3 weeks to build something airtight.
Most people, when they find out their husband has a second family funded with their own money, would confront him, scream, cry, demand answers. Diane is not most people. She went to see a solicitor first, a specialist in financial fraud within marriages. She brought every bank statement, every transaction record, every screenshot she had quietly taken of that second phone when Marcus left it on the kitchen counter each morning while he made coffee. She contacted her own bank separately and froze her personal savings account, the one Marcus didn't know she had kept private since before they married. She found Priya's brother, contacted the university, reported the fraudulent funding. The university opened an investigation. She called Priya, not to fight, not to scream. She called her calmly, introduced herself as Marcus's wife, and said 7 words. "He has been married to me this whole time." And then she hung up. The following morning, she made Marcus's coffee, kissed him on the cheek, and asked him if he had any plans that evening. He said he was working late. She smiled. "Of course you are." That evening, while Marcus was with Priya, Two things happened simultaneously. A process server arrived at Priya's apartment and handed Marcus divorce papers and a civil fraud claim for the recovery of misappropriated marital funds, £112,000, itemized to the penny. And Diane changed all the locks. The divorce proceedings lasted 14 months. The fraud claim held. The court ruled in Diane's favor. Marcus was ordered to repay the full amount from the sale of assets, including the car he had bought for Priya, which was legally a marital asset. Priya, when she discovered the full extent of Marcus's situation, that he had no real consulting business, that the money had all come from his wife, that the life she thought she was building was constructed entirely on someone else's foundation, ended things immediately. She had her own children to think about. She had her own dignity. Priya's brother was asked to leave the university pending the investigation into his funding. He returned home. Marcus was left with nothing. No wife. No girlfriend. No house. No reputation. Just the consequences of a life he thought he'd never have to account for. As for Diane, she took the settlement, moved to a city she had always wanted to live in, and started over. She told a close friend afterwards that the hardest part wasn't discovering the betrayal. It was the 3 weeks of silence, of keeping her face perfectly still while the plan came together. She said she had never felt more powerful in her life. Some men build secret lives because they believe the women in their lives will never look closely enough to find them. They forget that the most dangerous thing in the world is a woman who has already found everything and is simply deciding what to do with it. Some people learn too late that loyalty isn't just a word. And karma keeps excellent records. This has been served cold. I'll see you tomorrow. Served cold. New story every day.
Subscribe to my channel.